Okay, so hi everybody. Welcome to another energy update from us here at Platform Housing Group, here for the next few weeks to advise on what the upcoming price hikes in energy prices might mean for you and what you can do about it. This is all designed to help you understand the anxiety around the topic right now and try and see what the best course of action might be now and further down the line. So once again, I'm joined by Georgina Allen, who's the team manager in the Successful Tenancies department, and Karen Adam, who's one of the advisors in the team. Hello, both.
Hello.
They are there, and we are both, of course, all working to help and guide customers through managing their tenancy with us to help things be as hassle-free as possible. So the next few minutes are going to be about looking at the latest developments on the energy price hikes, where the government and the energy companies and customers, just like us, all stand in it all, and we'll also go through a few frequently asked questions about the situation and point in the direction and various forms of help and assistance that are already available. So, Karen, we said last week we'd come back on the start of this week and it would all be about what the announcement might be. And then, what do you know, the announcement just came up absolutely out of nowhere, literally middle of last week. So what does it all mean, and what do you think it's going to mean going forward?
Well, yeah, they definitely dropped the bombshell that the energy price cap was raised by 54%. So that took us up to a whopping £1,971 for people that pay their bills by standing order direct debit or on receipt of bill, and an even higher cap of £2,017 for prepayment customers. Now, they sound like big figures, so I thought it'd be good just to explain what that actually means. So those figures, the way that Ofgem calculate that price cap figure, it's not that that's what your energy bills will cost or that's the most that they'll cost. It's actually using an assumption on average usage. So energy is measured in kilowatt hours. So the average for electricity for the price cap is 2,900 kilowatts, and for gas it's 12,000 kilowatts. So when you put it into perspective, what that means is that now your unit rate that you get charged individually for each kilowatt of gas and electricity is going up to 28 pence for electricity and 7 pence for gas, which is a huge hike. If you look at your electricity and gas costs at the moment, you're probably looking at around 18 pence a kilowatt and 3 or 4 pence a kilowatt, 18 pence for electricity and about 3 or 4 pence for gas. So that's what it actually means. So if you use more than that amount, your bills will be higher than that. And if you use less, it will be less. But that's what each kilowatt is going to cost you. An example of what a kilowatt is, if you imagine your electric cooker, so on your hob, one of your rings, if you had it on for an hour, would use 1 kilowatt. And so that would cost you 28 pence for one of those rings for an hour. And it's not the biggest ring, it's not the smallest one, it's those medium ones. So that gives you an idea of what a kilowatt is. A fan heater that you have on would use 2 kilowatts if you had it running for an hour. So then you're looking at 56 pence an hour for one fan heater, which will heat one room for that period. So that sort of puts it into perspective. It was a bombshell because I wasn't expecting them to go the full hike. However, you have to understand that it was very, very necessary. Businesses cannot keep running if they're making a loss, and they were actually making a loss because wholesale gas prices have increased by 4 times in the last 6 months. So no business is sustainable. And if all the energy companies went bust, then we'd have nobody to provide the energy and the lights would go out and there'd be no heating or anything else. So that's why it had to happen. What the government have done about that to compensate for it, they brought in some extra measures. So did you want me to carry on with this, Rich? Or yes, okay. So you probably heard the announcements on the news. So when we got over the initial shock of the energy price cap going up, they then announced some measures that they were going to implement to try and help us reduce the impact of that cost. Okay, so one of them was that they're looking at doing £150 rebate on council tax and it would apply for people that are on bands A, B, C and D on the council tax bands. You might wonder, why are they not doing any of the higher bands? And that's because generally people that live in more expensive properties have probably got a better income. That isn't necessarily so, because people can be living in big houses and have lower incomes. So what they're going to do is apply that rebate in April to all of the council tax bills. So you might be thinking, well, I don't get I don't pay council tax, so I get council tax support. So how am I going to get help with my energy bills? So they're actually going to have a look at anybody that doesn't get captured in that saving. They're looking at other measures, which we don't know what they are at the moment. But there is another pot of money which the government will be giving to local councils to distribute in a way that they think would benefit most people. The other one, which sounds a little bit scary, but there is a logic behind it, and that is that they're going to give us a £200 discount on our winter energy bill. So they're going to apply that, or they're going to give it to the energy companies to give to us in October. So every electricity bill will get a £200 credit on there. And it's a loan because it's got to be paid back. And what they'll do is, the following year, they'll start taking it back at £40 a year. So there's no interest on it, even though it's a loan. No interest will be paid on it, but we will all have to pay that £40 back each year. And you might be thinking, well, the energy's going up. How can we afford it next year if it goes up again? But the prediction is that energy prices will start to fall after 2022. So in 2023, we're hoping, as long as nothing else goes wrong, that the energy prices will fall. And that's why the government think that it's a bit of a soft landing for us initially to kick us off.
Now, when it first was announced, actually, we were in touch during the week about what it might mean and what everyone thinks about it. And you were saying about whether it might be worth, you were going to look into whether it had changed what tariffs were then going to be on offer as a result of the caps and everything else like that. So what did you find when you looked at that?
So I did some comparisons. All of the comparison websites are still saying sit tight. There's nothing for them that they can offer to you. There were a few that were available direct from suppliers. So I did a bit of analysis on them. One of them, you could save just a few pounds, but it was actually tying you in for 2 years, and it was £100 exit fee per fuel if you wanted to leave that tariff earlier. So you'll be paying the price as it is now with the price cap, but as we predict the energy prices will go down in 2023, you're still tied at paying that higher rate. So although up front it looks like you might save literally a few pounds, it's still being advised that you're better off sitting tight where you are, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we did think about that last week, but it's worth covering off. And what do you think is going to happen now? What things any particular announcements or things we're still waiting on?
They did announce about the warm home discount. So the warm home discount, that isn't the discount that old people get. Fuel allowance. This is for anybody that meets the criteria. So people on pension credit will automatically get the warm home discount. And then, so they're called the core group. And then there's something called the broader group, which is where you have to have actually applied for the warm home discount. And it is for people on low income that meet certain criteria. Some energy suppliers have got different criteria to others, so it did vary from supplier to supplier, and it probably will still do going forward. But the government have said that they're going to widen that criteria so that more people will qualify. And they're also raising it. It's been £140 for the past 5 years, but they're actually going to be raising it for up to £150 for this coming winter. Okay, so good. Check out with your energy supplier, and once we know what that criteria is, to see if you qualify. Okay,
so still a few things to wait on this, so it's not all done and dusted and set in stone that it's going to be bad. That's good. George, I wanted to come to you a little bit just to talk about how there are some changes that people might not know about with universal credit and the eligibility and the thresholds there.
Yeah, absolutely. Worth just going back to something that you were talking about before, Karen, with the council tax rebate. Unlike the energy rebate, the electricity, the council tax rebate is not going to be a loan, is it? So that won't be repayable. That's what the government are saying at the moment.
Yes.
So fingers crossed.
Good. Yep.
With regards to universal credit, in November, there were some tweaks made. It was kind of in line with the end of the £20 uplift. So a couple of things happened. First thing that happened with the universal credit payments was that the amounts that you could earn before you were before you had to have any deductions made went up by £500. And then, so that was your work allowance element of universal credit. And then the second kind of part of that is around how much is taken away from you per pound when you earn. That amount is actually being reduced now from 63p to 55p. So essentially, with those two kind of tweaks, you're keeping more of your money. You're not losing so much back. So the hope would be that will make a little bit of a difference. It will make those payments stretch a little bit further. A lot of people who are claiming universal credit may be aware that those changes came in November, but there might be some people that weren't aware. So hopefully that might be of kind of help.
Yeah. I think we're finding that there are a few different elements in different places where things can chip away at this increase in bills of people. Something else been mentioned is the household support fund and exactly how that might work. Is it right, George, that that's going to be slightly different across depending on where you live?
Yeah, so it's a government fund, and the way it has been distributed is it's coming down through local authorities essentially. So how they are spent, there is a criteria around that, so there will be eligibility, but the way each kind of package might look in each local authority might look slightly different. It might have been kind of spent through a different agency, or just being distributed slightly differently. So on our hot topics piece on the website, where it says about the energy price rises, there is a link on there that you can follow. Tells you a bit about the household support fund, but then what you need to do is go through to your local authority website to find out more. And the link that is on our website basically is it's a postcode finder kind of setup. So you put your postcode in, it'll tell you what local authority you need to be going to, and it'll give you the details of that local authority. You click on that and then you can search for the household support fund. That money needs to be spent by the end of March. So I think if people are in a situation where they're struggling now, probably be better to kind of get on and have a look and see if they meet the eligibility. If they're not sure, speak to somebody at their local authority who will be able to help them. Okay,
good, very useful. Another little thing worth checking. Karen, I just want to come back to you finally before we're done here. Amongst people who were getting in touch with us about last week's update, our own group chief executive Elizabeth posted to say about Octopus Energy, and this is this whole idea about maybe sometimes it is worth contacting your energy supplier just to check there isn't anything else that they're doing. Because what is it that Octopus are doing for people that aren't aware?
Octopus are doing something. There's a calculator on their website. So if you log into your account with Octopus, you put in some basic details, and then it churns out whether or not you're eligible for this grant. And I think that they have been undersubscribed for this grant, and they don't pay it back. It's just a pot of money that they're dishing out, basically. So, for example, somebody I know put in their details and were told initially, no, they don't qualify. And then all of a sudden they had an email to say, oh, we've put £100 onto your energy account. So they were quite surprised. So I think, you know, they've got this money which they need to distribute. So go back. If you've already applied and been rejected, try again. And if you haven't applied yet, then get in there. Get anybody with their energy supplier, especially if you're struggling, give them a call. They can and have the power to ease off any payments that you're making, give you a little bit of a payment reduction or payment holiday. There's lots of things, and sometimes they, like Octopus, have got this pot of money that they need to share out. So definitely worth getting in touch with them.
Yeah. So essentially, there's you know, there's the local authority, there's your own supplier, there's universal credit. There's a few people to sort of check in with over this before, you know, you let any major panic set in.
Definitely. There's also energy trusts which can help. A lot of the suppliers all club in together, and they do it through Caris Grant. So there's lots of you know, different places where you can go and look to get help. But definitely contact your energy supplier, and even if you're on a prepayment meter, they can put additional credit onto your meter for you to help you through, you know, a tough period, or if you're struggling. It has to be paid back. It's, you know, it's not a giveaway, apart from the special funds like Octopus are doing, but it definitely helps you through and saves you being cut off that way.
All right. Good to know. Thank you very much. Look, we're out of time for this week's update. There's always a load to squeeze in, as always, but we've done fantastically well. And just for anyone wondering, there wasn't a blue-black jumper memo that George missed out on. It was complete utter fluke. If for anyone who was going to point it out, we will attempt to coordinate for next week's update. Yeah.
Absolutely. A conversation needs to be happening that I'm included in.
Always, George. Always. Thank you both for your time today. Thank you for all your help, and
thank you.
Everything we've got available on our own platform website, and you know, with everything we have there, will help out. And anything else you have, then don't forget to get in touch. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next week.
Cheers. Thanks, Rich.